Please describe your job title and primary duties.
So at Cinemark, I was just a cashier and concessionist. Primary duties would be selling tickets and concessions at the cash register, dealing with customers on that basis, and then also cleaning theaters as movies let out.
What was the work environment like?
So the work environment was actually very comfortable. You worked in smaller teams with very friendly people, and it was very evenly displaced workloads. So everyone had designated duties for that day. As you would come in, you would check your schedule and see what position you'd be working that day, and everyone would be sectioned off to their own parts. So it'd be overall very fun. I would say probably like more casual job where you did what you did, and then outside of that, you could try to excel in certain areas and have better interactions with customers and try to show like that way that you may be better at that, or clean faster or take on more responsibilities with cleaning.
What was your favorite part about working there?
Favorite part about working there would be, I would say just the overall work pacing. So the movie theater was it was a smaller Cinemark, but all the movies would start at one time. So we would get this huge rush of customers that would all come at once. So for an hour and a half, you would be working non-stop, customer after customer, hundreds of people, and it'd be very fast-paced, but still basic tasks where you could get into a good rhythm. And then there'd be a downtime of about an hour as you're waiting for the movies to let out. And while that downtime is there, you can have conversations with your coworkers, but you're also cleaning the lobby, you're preparing for the next rush of customers. And it was just a very nice pattern and flow of high intensity work and then a little bit of like downtime where you could kind of relax but still get ready for the next rush.
Please describe the application and interview process.
So the application process, I pretty much just walked in to the front desk and I asked if they were hiring. They said that they were, so I asked for an application and I filled it out. And probably about a week later, they called me, asked me to come for an interview. And I went in and sat down and they asked me basic questions about things that I do outside of what work would be, so like school, extracurricular activities, things like that. And then they asked me some hypothetical situations if I were to work there and a customer did something or something happened with a certain situation, how would I react in that situation, and what steps would I take to make something better if something did go wrong.
How were you notified that you received the job?
So I would say about a week it took them to call me. I think they were looking at other applications that had already been turned in, and they went through several other interviews, I think maybe 3 after I would already come in for mine. But yeah, about after a week, they called me and they asked if I would first they asked me if I was still interested in the position, and once I said yes, they offered for me to come back where they would show me pretty much like the upstairs and take me to like an office and look at the paperwork that I would have to fill out, and asked me like what my schedule would be like and if I what they were looking for specifically as far as work availability and specifics for the job, if I would still be willing to do that, because I think they really wanted to make sure that I was still interested in what they were offering for a position. So once they made sure I was good with that, I filled out the paperwork and I did a training day probably about like 2 weeks later, because they have to wait for the paperwork to be cleared by the company. So about 2 weeks after that, I did a training day and then I started working.
What set you apart from other candidates?
So I think one of the things that really made me stand out to help me get the job was my ability to kind of react to situations on my own. A lot of people, before they've had a job, or if this is their first job, and they are presented with a hypothetical if maybe something goes wrong or like a customer is really angry, their first answer might be go to the manager and ask them what to do. But the manager isn't always around, or the manager may have other things to do. So a lot of my answers involved ways that I personally would take care of a situation, or kind of maybe like de-escalate a high intensity situation if a customer was angry, or maybe a way that I personally could help them as an employee. Obviously I don't have a lot of free range if I can like give out free stuff, but there are other things you can do as an employee and ways to converse with a customer to make them seem like they are an important part of coming to that, and like their experience is important to you and how you can make their experience better.
What other advice would you give to a job seeker looking to gain employment?
If someone's looking to get a job at a Cinemark, I would say definitely show your interest in movies, because Obviously, having a hobby isn't always going to get you a job, but when you're working with customer service or something where you're going to be dealing with customers, a lot of that customer's positive experience from going to any store or movie theater is that short bit of conversation that they have with an employee. So just like a short little bit of time that you have, if you talk with someone about maybe they're excited to see a new Marvel movie and you happen to really like Marvel movies, so you just mentioned something really quickly about how you're also excited to see that. It really enhances the customer's experience and makes you appear like a better employer. So if you have a hobby and there's a job that has something to do with that hobby, for sure pursue it.